Mahatma Gandhi rightly said, nature gives us enough to satisfy the need of everyone, but not the greed of anyone. Happy World Environment Day 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Manoj Agarwal. I will be the moderator for today's webinar. I am also a water resource development professional, studied in IIT Kharagpur for this water engineering. I am part of program execution team of Ambuja Cement Foundation, as well as the member of executive committee of the foundation. A very warm welcome you all in today's live panel discussion on water, environment, and livelihood. We have a very eminent panel today with lead panelist, lead speaker, torchbearer of this field, waterman of this country, Dr. Rajendra Singh Ji Bhai Sahab, with the fellow speakers from the policy maker, expert from the CSR, and leaders from the NGO sector. I would like to introduce Dr. Rajendra Singh Ji, गांधी जी के विचारों से प्रेरित भारत के जलपुत्र डॉक्टर राजेंद्र सिंह जी पिछले लगभग 35 सालों से जल आंदोलन को जन आंदोलन में बदलने, पानी और प्रकृति के कार्य को सहेजने और संयोजने के कार्य में अथक प्रयास रहते हैं। उनके इन अथक प्रयासों के लिए वर्ष 2001 में उन्हें बड़े ही सम्माननीय रमन मैग्सेसे पुरस्कार से सम्मानित किया गया। 2009 में भाई साहब नेशनल गंगा रिवर बेसिन अथॉरिटी के मेंबर रहे और आज भी उनके प्रयास माँ गंगा को अविरलता और निर्मलता बनाने के लिए तक प्रयासरत है। वर्ष 2015 में डॉक्टर राजेंद्र सिंह जी को स्टॉकहोम वाटर प्राइज, जो कि पानी के क्षेत्र में नोबेल प्राइज के माना जाता है, के लिए उन्हें सम्मानित किया गया। और मैं अपने आप को बड़ा ही सौभाग्यशाली मानता हूँ कि जब ये अवार्ड उन्हें मिला तो उनसे आश्रम में मिलने का अवसर प्राप्त हुआ और उस अवार्ड के साथ छूकर गौरवान्वित होने का अवसर प्राप्त हुआ। भाई राजेंद्र सिंह जी ने न केवल भारतवर्ष में अपितु पूरी दुनिया में प्राकृतिक संसाधनों को सहेजने और संयोजने का जो अथक प्रयास किया है, उस सब के लिए हम बहुत ही सौभाग्यशाली हैं। आज राजेंद्र सिंह जी हमारे साथ हैं। मैं राजेंद्र सिंह जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि कृपया आप अपने विचार रखकर हमें अनुग्रहित करें और हमें मार्गदर्शित करें।
आप सबको मेरा नमस्कार। साथियों, आज विश्व पर्यावरण दिवस है। 1974 में पहले पृथ्वी शिखर सम्मेलन स्टॉकहोम में संयुक्त राष्ट्र संघ ने ये तय किया था कि दुनिया में अब प्रकृति पर अतिक्रमण, प्रदूषण और शोषण का जो शिक्षण है वो तो बढ़ रहा है और उसके खतरे बढ़ रहे हैं। इसलिए हमें समाज को जागरूक करने के लिए, समाज में पर्यावरण की चेतना बनाए रखने के लिए हर साल 5 जून को पर्यावरण दिवस मनाना शुरू किया। पूरी दुनिया की सभी सरकारें और औद्योगिक घराने सब मिलकर इसको मनाते हैं। पर इसका असली अर्थ ये है कि हमारा जो जीवन है, हमारी जो जीविका है, हमारा जो जमीन है, जिसको अंग्रेजी में लाइवलीहुड और डिग्निटी कहते हैं, वो कैसे इस प्रकृति के साथ जुड़ी है और वो कैसे, जब ये प्रकृति स्वस्थ रहती है तो हम इन तीनों के साथ जी सकते हैं। ये जो इकोलॉजिकल एनवायरमेंटल सिक्योरिटी है, ये जो एक तरह से क्लाइमेट सिक्योरिटी है, फूड, वाटर, हेल्थ, ये जो सारी सिक्योरिटी हैं, ये 74 के दशक में काफी प्रबल थी, लेकिन अब आते आते केवल एक सिक्योरिटी दिखती है और वो है प्रॉफिट कंपटीशन की इकोनॉमिक सिक्योरिटी। बाकी सिक्योरिटी चली गई, गायब हो गई। और ये जो आज हमारे पास एक बड़ा नया संकट महामारी का आया है, ये भी हमारे प्रॉफिट के कंपटीशन की देन है। हमारा जो प्रॉफिट इकोनॉमिक कंपटीशन की देन है। चाइना के मन में ये लालच आया और ये लालच बहुत बढ़ गया, प्रॉफिट का लालच बहुत बढ़ गया। और प्रॉफिट के लालच की ये आर्टिफिशियल नेचुरल जो भी कुछ कहना हो, ये महामारी उसमें से पैदा हो गई। दोस्तों, ये पहली महामारी नहीं है। 2002 में भी ऐसा हुआ था, लेकिन 2002 में उसको कनाडा के एक बहुत बड़े वैज्ञानिक डॉन लो, जो उस जमाने में वहां के हेल्थ के मिनिस्टर थे और चेयरमैन थे, उन्होंने उसको कंट्रोल किया जल्दी से। लेकिन इस बार ये कंट्रोल नहीं हो पाई। पूरी दुनिया इससे भीत है। इस भयभीत के दौर में बहुत कुछ अच्छा हुआ है, और वो जो बहुत कुछ अच्छा हुआ है उसको जरा समझ लेना आज के दिन जरूरी है। दोस्तों, हम पिछले 40 सालों से, वैसे तो 45 सालों से सामाजिक क्षेत्र में काम करते हैं, लेकिन 40 साल पहले ये बोलना शुरू किए थे कि ये प्रकृति हमारी तभी तक जरूरत पूरी करेगी जब तक इसके अनुकूल हमारा जीवन होगा। हमारे लाइफ में अडेप्टेशन, नेचर का जो अडेप्टेशन है, क्लाइमेट का जो अडेप्टेशन है, वो जब तक रहेगा तब तक ये नेचर हम सबकी जरूरत पूरी करेगी। लेकिन जब हमारा लालच बढ़ जाएगा, जब ग्रीडीनेस बढ़ जाएगी, तो फिर इस नेचर के अंदर वो शक्ति नहीं बचेगी जो हमारा लालच पूरा कर सके। ये किसी एक आदमी का भी लालच पूरा करने की शक्ति नहीं रखती। और उस जमाने में हम भारत के गांवों को एक अपने आप गणराज्य मानते थे, इसलिए हमने भारत के गांवों में कैसे गांव का स्वावलंबन हो और गांव एक स्वराज्य कैसे बने, उस जमाने में हम बोला करते थे, दिल्ली जयपुर हमारी सरकार, गांव में हम ही सरकार। इसलिए हम अपने गांव की मिट्टी को, गांव के पानी को गांव से बाहर नहीं जाने देते थे, और गांव में ही अपना गोबर का खाद बनाते थे, रासायनिक खाद नहीं लाते थे, और गांव में ही हम हर घर में अपना बीज बनाते थे। अमावस्या के दिन हमारी ग्राम सभा होती थी, और उस ग्राम सभा में गांव का साझा भविष्य कैसे बेहतर रहे, गांव का पर्यावरण, प्रकृति कैसे अच्छी रहे, उसके लिए गांव के साझे दस्तूर बनाते थे, नियम बनाते थे, ग्राम सभाओं के कानून कायदे बनाते थे। और उसके कारण हमने बहुत सारे गांव में गांवों का जो गणराज्य का सपना था हमारा, उसको साकार होते हुए देखा था। जो गांव लाचार, बेकार, बीमार होकर उजड़ गए थे, वो गांव वापस अपनी जमीन पर आकर खेती करने लगे और स्वावलंबी हो गए। ये जो दृश्य था, इस दृश्य ने हमारे मन में बहुत कॉन्फिडेंस पैदा किया। दोस्तों, आज जो ये कार्यक्रम, जिस कार्यक्रम में हम सब शामिल हैं, इस मौके पे मैं इतना ही कहना चाहता हूं कि यदि हम विश्व पर्यावरण दिवस मनाना चाहते हैं, तो हम अपने जीवन में, अपने भारत देश में एक एक गांव को स्वावलंबी बनाना शुरू करें। और अब उसका सही मौका है, सही अवसर है। इसलिए मित्रों, मैं आपसे इतना ही निवेदन करना चाहता हूं कि हमें अब वक्त है कि जो 30 साल पहले हमारी एक बहन जी कहा करती थी, गांव में सोशल सिक्योरिटी नहीं है, छुआछूत है, गरीबी है, अमीरी है, जातिवादी है, जात पात है, गांव छोड़ के शहर आ जाओ, शहर में सोशल सिक्योरिटी है। आज वो बहन जी चुप है। अब जब वो गांव के लोग शहर छोड़ के वापस गांव आ रहे हैं, उनको गांव में लाचारी, बेकारी, बीमारी अब नहीं दिख रही है। इसलिए दोस्तों, मैं किसी राजनीतिक पार्टी का आदमी नहीं हूं, इसलिए किसी राजनीतिक मंशा से ये नहीं बोल रहा हूं। मेरे मन में केवल चिंता है कि हमारा जो देखने का नजरिया है अपने देश को, वो अब भारतीय आस्था और पर्यावरण की रक्षा से दूर चला गया है। भारत की आस्था पंच महाभूतों से निर्मित मानव शरीर और पंच महाभूतों से निर्मित ये ब्रह्मांड, दोनों एक हैं। और इस ब्रह्मांड की बायोडायवर्सिटी, जीन पूल, सबको बचा के रखना है। ये जो भारतीय आस्था थी, इससे हम पर्यावरण की रक्षा करते थे। आजकल वो आस्था मिटती दिख रही है। अभी भी वो आस्था उन गांव में दिखती है जहां इंडिजिनस नॉलेज सिस्टम और इंडियन विजडम थोड़ी बहुत बची है। तो क्या हम इंडिजिनस नॉलेज सिस्टम को और इंडियन विजडम को दोबारा से समझने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं क्या? ये जो विश्व पर्यावरण दिवस मनाने का आप सबने इतना अच्छा अवसर चुना है, इस अवसर पर कुछ संकल्प लेके जाना चाहिए। और वो संकल्प होगा कि हम अपने एक एक गांव को स्वावलंबी बनाने के लिए, गांव को गणराज्य बनाने के लिए वहां के जल जंगल जमीन, जंगलवासी और जंगली जीवों की रक्षा के लिए जुटेंगे। और हम जो पानी बरसता है उसको सहेज कर धरती के पेट में रखेंगे। दोस्तों, आप जानते हैं पिछले साल भारत के 19 राज्यों में जल का संकट और 90 जिलों में बाढ़ का संकट था। ये बढ़ती बाढ़ और बढ़ता सुखाड़ हमें क्या सिखाता है? ये हमें सिखा रहा है कि हम यदि इस प्रकृति के अनुकूलन नहीं करेंगे तो प्रकृति की एंगरनेस बढ़ेगी, क्रोध बढ़ेगा और उस क्रोध को हमें भुगतना पड़ेगा। ये कोविड उसी प्रकृति का क्रोध है, एंगरनेस ऑफ नेचर है। इस एंगरनेस ऑफ नेचर को हम भुगत रहे हैं, हम भयभीत हो रहे हैं। अभी भी हम इससे बचने के उपाय प्रकृति में अनुकूलन से सीख सकते हैं। मित्रों, मुझे मेरे गांव के लोगों ने सिखाया था कि धरती का पेट भरेगा तो सूरज चोरी नहीं करेगा पानी की और उस पानी से हमारी खेती हो जाएगी और जो गांव उजड़ गए हैं वो वापस दोबारा बस जाएंगे। वो जो सीखने का दौर था, वो जो हमारे गांव के लोग हम सबको सिखाने का काम करते थे, उससे हमारी जो युवा पीढ़ी है वो काम में लगी रहती थी। हमें अभी भी वक्त है कि हम दोबारा से अपने उन कामों को ठीक से करें और ठीक से सीख कर इस प्रकृति के अनुकूलन को अपने जीवन में जिएं। दोस्तों, हमने 1985 में एक छोटे से गांव से काम शुरू किया था। जब वो गांव पानीदार बन गया तो उसने अपने सारे रिश्तेदारों को बुला के अपने गांव में दावत की और उस गोट में कहा कि जैसे हमने अपने गांव को पानीदार बनाया वैसे आप भी बनाओ। तो ये जो रिश्तेदारियों का नेटवर्क था, ये जो सोशल नेटवर्क था हमारा, उसने एक तरह से इस काम को रीएप्लिकेट और स्केलिंग अप किया। ये काम अब 1200 से ज्यादा गांव में फैल गया है। जो लोग बेपानी होकर, लाचार, बेकार, बीमार होकर उजड़े थे, जो नाइट ब्लाइंडनेस से, रतौंधी रोग से ग्रसित थे, अब एक भी रतौंधी रोगी हमारे इलाके में नहीं है। तब सब रतौंधी रोग से ग्रसित थे। तो ये जो बड़ा परिवर्तन इस इलाके में आया वो पानी के संरक्षण से और प्रकृति के अनुकूलन से आया। इसलिए हम सब आप सबसे इतना ही निवेदन करना चाहते हैं, मिलकर हम प्रकृति के अनुकूलन के काम में जुटे और वही हमारा पर्यावरण दिवस मनाने का सच्चा काम होगा। पर्यावरण दिवस मनाना चेतना के लिए बातचीत करना एंट्री पॉइंट है, पर्यावरण को समझना, प्रकृति को समझना। लेकिन प्रकृति को बचाने के लिए जीवन जीना, हमारी जो लाइवलीहुड है और जो हमारी लाइफ है, वो नेचर के साथ एडेप्टेशन करके जीना, तो ना हमारा लाइवलीहुड का प्रॉब्लम होगा और ना हमारी लाइफ का प्रॉब्लम होगा। इसलिए यदि हम लाइफ और लाइवलीहुड के प्रॉब्लम से बचना चाहते हैं, उसके सॉल्यूशन एक्सप्लोर करना चाहते हैं, तो दोस्तों हमें इको कल्चर, जो हमारी पारिस्थितिकी का ज्ञान है, जो हमारी पारिस्थितिकी की संस्कृति है, उसका सम्मान करना पड़ेगा। यदि हम अपनी परिस्थितिकी का सम्मान करेंगे तो हम प्रकृति का शोषण, अतिक्रमण और प्रदूषण रोक देंगे। दोस्तों, लॉकडाउन से पहले हमारी गंगा मैला ढोने वाली मालगाड़ी थी, अब वही गंगा मैला ढोने वाली बन गई है। लॉकडाउन खुलते के साथ फिर वो मैला ढोने लगेगी। हमारी जो इंडस्ट्रियल पॉल्यूटेड मटेरियल है, वो लोग गंगा जैसी पवित्र नदी में डालते हुए हिचकते नहीं हैं। जरा ये सोचना है कि जिस गंगा में ब्रह्म सत्व बहता था, गंगा अमृत बहता था, आज उसमें केमिकल औद्योगिक प्रदूषित जल बहता है। तो हम यदि मां गंगा के गंगा अमृत को केमिकल फ्लो में बदल सकते हैं, तो फिर हम कैसे बचेंगे? दोस्तों, चाइना का परिणाम देख लो। चाइना इस वक्त चारों तरफ बौखला रहा है, चारों तरफ हमले कर रहा है। क्यों? क्योंकि उसकी जनता ने अब उसके खिलाफ खड़े होकर बोलना शुरू कर दिया। वहां की जनता अब बोलने लगी है कि ये जो कोविड-19 को तुमने जन्म दिया, वो जिस इकोनॉमिक प्रॉफिट कंपटीशन की देन है, हमें वो नहीं चाहिए। हमें ग्लोबल क्लाइमेट इकोलॉजिकल सिक्योरिटी चाहिए। इसलिए ये जो इस वक्त हमें सीखने का मौका है, हम अपनी इस सीखने के दौर में इस कोविड से सीखें कि लॉकडाउन में दोबारा गंगा और यमुना कैसे मैला धोने वाली बन गई, जिनको हमने मैला ढोने वाली बनाया था, और इसको हम दोबारा कैसे ठीक कर सकते हैं। इसलिए मैं इस अवसर पर आप सबको एक संकल्प के साथ विदाई लेना चाहता हूं कि हम विश्व पर्यावरण दिवस केवल फैशन के लिए ना मनाएं, बल्कि विश्व पर्यावरण दिवस पर प्रकृति से शोषण, अतिक्रमण और प्रदूषण करना बंद करें। प्रकृति के साथ जीना और प्रकृति से अपने जीवन को चलाने वाले सहारे को लेना, लेकिन सम्मान के साथ लेना, जिससे प्रकृति हर्ट ना हो। हम भारत के लोग, जिसको अंग्रेज सस्टेनेबल कहते हैं, हम भारत के लोग सनातन कहते थे। सनातन का मतलब होता है सदैव नित्य नूतन निर्माण, जो आदि से अंत तक कभी मरे ना, हमेशा निर्माण करता रहे, वो सनातन होता है। तो हम सनातन विकास के रास्ते पर चलने वाले भारतीय दुनिया को इस बुरे वक्त में एक नई सीख दे सकते हैं। हम दुनिया को ये बता सकते हैं कि दुनिया, तुम लालची होकर जितना प्रकृति का शोषण करोगे, वैसे ही प्रकृति का क्रोध बढ़ेगा, उससे बाढ़ सुखाड़ भी बढ़ेगा, उससे कोविड जैसी महामारी भी आएगी। यदि हम इन सब चीजों से बचना चाहते हैं, तो हमें प्रकृति का अनुकूलन आज से ही शुरू करें। हम जियो कल्चरल डाइवर्सिटी का रेस्पेक्ट करके, हम एग्रो इकोलॉजिकल क्लाइमेटिक डाइवर्सिटी का रेस्पेक्ट करके अपने रूरल इकोनॉमी को, अपनी नेचुरल इकोनॉमी को स्ट्रॉन्ग करें, क्योंकि नेचुरल और रूरल इकोनॉमी में वो डिजास्टर नहीं है जो प्रॉफिट कंपटीशन की इकोनॉमी में डिजास्टर है। ये जो प्रॉफिट कंपटीशन की इकोनॉमी है, वो डिजास्टर क्रिएट करती है, और जो डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड नेचुरल इकोनॉमी है, वो प्रॉस्पेरिटी और पीस क्रिएट करती है। इसलिए हमारी इंडियन इकोनॉमी पीस और प्रॉस्पेरिटी की इकोनॉमी है। उसमें इन्वायरमेंट और इकोलॉजी, ये सब हमारे व्यवहार और संस्कार के हिस्से हैं। उसी के साथ हम जिए। जय हिंद।
जय हिंद। सर, आप हेलो हेलो
जी बोलिए।
सर, थोड़ा समय अगर आप और बैठ सकेंगे तो एक दो प्रश्न है कुछ पार्टिसिपेंट के, मैं वो लेना
बिल्कुल भाई, आपका जवाब तो देने के लिए हम हमेशा तैयार हैं, पूछिए जरूर।
सर कुछ हमारे साथी लोग जानना चाहते हैं कि काफ़ी जो रिवर्स माइग्रेशन हुआ है, गांव से लोग शहरों की तरफ गए हैं, और कई जगह तो ऐसा देखने को आ रहा है कि गांव की जो आबादी है वो लगभग लगभग दोगुनी हो चुकी है, और काफ़ी सारे लोग ये रहने वाले हैं अभी गाँव में। तो जो सीमित संसाधन है, प्राकृतिक संसाधन है, नेचुरल रिसोर्स है, इसके ऊपर सर धीरे धीरे दबाव बढ़ेगा। तो कैसे इस जो आबादी है इसको भी इस काम में लगाया जाए, और गांव के जो नेचुरल रिसोर्स हैं उनको भी बढ़ाने में ये लोग मददगार साबित हो सके, इसको आपके क्या
भाई आपने मेरे दिल का सवाल पूछा है, बधाई।
लगता है?
मैं इस सवाल से बहुत चिंतित हूँ और बहुत ग्रसित हूँ, लेकिन इस सवाल का जवाब मेरे पास बहुत अच्छा है। देखो, ये जो हमारी गाँव का गाँव का जनदबाव बढ़ रहा है, इस जनदबाव को काम देने के लिए हमें वहाँ काफ़ी गाँव में ज़मीनें हैं और वो ज़मीनें लोगों की हैं। तो यहाँ पर बजाय प्राइवेटाइज़ इंडस्ट्रियलाइज़ेशन के एक कम्युनिटाइज़ेशन के स्मॉल स्केल और नेचर से जुड़े हुए, जिनमें नेचर का एक्सप्लॉइटेशन ना हो बल्कि नेचर का रिस्पेक्ट हो, ऐसे उद्योग धंधे शुरू कर सकते हैं। लेकिन ये उद्योग धंधे निजी नहीं, कॉर्पोरेटाइज़ नहीं, जो कोऑपरेटिव, सहकारी और सामुदायिक होंगे, तो इससे देश का भला होगा। इसलिए हमें सहकारी और सामुदायिक धंधे गाँव में बढ़ाने की ज़रूरत है। ये सहकारी और सामुदायिक धंधे अब सरकार को चलाने पड़ेंगे। एक ज़माना था जब हमारे गाँव स्वावलंबी थे, अब हमारे गाँव स्वावलंबी नहीं हैं। अब हमारे गाँव भी शहरों की प्लास्टिक से भरे पड़े हैं। जब हम गाँव से आए थे, तब हम गाँव से घी, दूध और अनाज शहरों को लेके आते थे। लेकिन जब अब हम शहरों से वापस गाँव जा रहे हैं, तो प्लास्टिक की बनी हुई चीज़ें और प्लास्टिक लेके जा रहे हैं। तो गाँव अब प्लास्टिक से हट रहे हैं। इसलिए हम लोगों को केवल पॉपुलेशन नहीं, प्लास्टिक से हटते जा रहे हैं। इसलिए हमें अब नज़रिया ये बनाना होगा कि गाँव को स्वावलंबी बनाने के लिए एक तरफ प्रकृति और खेती और दूसरी तरफ हमारी लाइवलीहुड और हमारी लाइफ को चलाने वाली जो दूसरी चीज़ें भी हैं, उनको भी हम गाँव में बनाएँ, और तभी गाँव के ऊपर जो ये जन दबाव बढ़ रहा है, इसमें मार-काट नहीं होगी। नहीं तो ये जन दबाव बढ़ा, तो चोरी, डकैती, मार-काट ये सब बढ़ जाएँगी। क्योंकि लाचार होता, मरता क्या नहीं करता, वो बात हमें याद रखनी चाहिए। लाचार होता, मरता क्या नहीं करता, उससे हम कैसे बच सकते हैं, ये हमें समझने की ज़रूरत है। इससे यदि हम समझना चाहते हैं, तो हम अ, गाँव में अब एक नए तरह से एक कोऑपरेटिव और कम्युनिटी ड्रिवन डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड इकोनॉमी को, नेचुरल इकोनॉमी को की पहल करें, बढ़ावा दें। उसमें नेचर भी बढ़ेगी। दोस्तों, मैं आपको यहाँ एक खास बात बीच में बताना चाहता हूँ। 200 साल पहले जब इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन शुरू हुआ, तब 2 विचारधारा बनी, एक पूंजीवादी, दूसरी समाजवादी। पूंजीवादी साफ तौर पे प्रॉफिट कंपटीशन का नेटवर्क था, जो केवल प्रॉफिट के लिए काम करते थे, इकोनॉमिक प्रॉफिट के लिए। समाजवादी जो थोड़ा समाज के बारे में, समाज की भलाई के बारे में, समाज के कॉमन फ्यूचर के बारे में बातें करते थे, सोचते थे। लेकिन इस 21वीं शताब्दी में पूंजीवादी भी और समाजवादी भी दोनों एक जैसे हो गए, बल्कि ज़्यादा विनाश समाजवादियों ने ही किया। चाइना उसका एक नमूना है। इसलिए इस वक़्त जो पिछले 200 सालों का अनुभव है, वो कोऑपरेटिव, वो इंडस्ट्रियलाइज़्ड इंडस्ट्रियलाइज़ेशन के जवाब में शुरू तो हुआ था, लेकिन वो आगे नहीं बढ़ा। हमें उसको आगे बढ़ाने के लिए ज़रा सोचने की ज़रूरत है। कम्युनिटाइज़ेशन और कॉर्पोरेटाइज़ेशन को आगे लाने की ज़रूरत है। अब समाजवाद और पूंजीवाद दोनों फेल हो चुके हैं, इसलिए आपको अब भारत में ग्राम्यवाद शुरू करना होगा। गाँव को स्वावलंबी बनाने के लिए, गाँव को स्वराज्य में लाने के लिए, गाँव के गणराज्य भारत को एक बार फिर अ, गौरवशाली बनाने के लिए हमें गाँव से अपना काम शुरू करना होगा।
धन्यवाद सर। एक और प्रश्न, चूंकि हमारे साथ सर काफ़ी कंपनी के लोग लोग जुड़े हुए हैं, सीएसआर में रिप्रेजेंटेटिव जुड़े हुए हैं। तो जब हम सर साधनों की बात करते हैं, तो एक बड़ा आज की तारीख में अगर साधन देखें तो सीएसआर के माध्यम से गाँव में, गरीबों में आज की
हुँ,
तारीख में काम हो रहा है। लेकिन
हुँ,
अगर आंकड़े पर गौर करें सर, तो
हुँ,
पूरा जो सीएसआर स्पेंड है, जो खर्चा है, उसका 5% पैसा पानी के कार्यों पर खर्च होता है। बाकी
हुँ।
95% पैसा जो है वो दूसरे कार्यों पर खर्च होता है। तो आपका सर क्या मैसेज है, कैसे कंपनियां आगे आएँ और पानी के कामों को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बढ़ाएं और इस नेचुरल रिसोर्स को सहेजने संयोजने का काम करें, क्योंकि काफ़ी बड़ा एक पूल है जिसको अच्छे तरीके से यूज किया जा सकता है।
देखो भाई, मेरा काम है, जो मेरा देखा हुआ अनुभव है सच्चा, वो सबके सामने रखना। जो ये कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, वो हमारा जो कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर है, वो अपनी चीज़ों को फैलाने, प्रचार-प्रसार करने और अपने उद्योग से जुड़े हुए लोगों को खुश रखने पर खर्च करता है। और पानी का काम तो वो ये मान लेते हैं कि ये पानी पिलाना सरकार का काम है। वेलफेयर स्टेट, डेमोक्रेटिक गवर्नमेंट की ये ज़िम्मेदारी होती है कि वो सबको पानी पिलाए और खाना खिलाए, किसी को भूखा ना मरने दे। तो कॉर्पोरेट ने ये मान लिया है कि पानी का काम तो वो सरकार करेगी। भाई जो अच्छे कॉर्पोरेट हैं, जिनकी आँखों में थोड़ा बहुत पानी बचा हुआ है, वो पानी का काम करते हैं। वो उद्योग अभी भी पानी के काम में अपनी कॉर्पोरेट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी का पैसा खर्च करते हैं। जिन उद्योगों की आँखों का उद्योगपतियों की आँखों का पानी सूख गया है, वो इस कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी का पैसा अपने फाउंडेशन में डाल के और अपने लोगों को खुश करने पर खर्च कर देते हैं, पानी पर नहीं करते। दोस्तों, मैं आपको एक पॉजिटिव बात बताना चाहता हूँ। पानी के काम में जो उद्योग ₹1 खर्च करता है, उसको ₹100 का शुभ मिलता है, पुण्य मिलता है, लोगों के आशीष मिलते हैं। लोग कहते हैं, "अरे भाई, सेठ जी ने ये पानी का काम करवाया था, हमारे लिए ये भला हो गया।" और लोग भूलते नहीं हैं। दोस्तों, हमारे राजस्थान के गाँव में सेठों ने 100-200 साल पहले तालाब बनाया होगा। आज भी गाँव के लोग उन तालाबों को याद रखते हैं, तालाब बनाने वाले का नाम याद रखते हैं और भूलते नहीं हैं। इसलिए ये जो वक़्त है, ये हमें पानी के काम के में मदद करने, पानी के काम में अ, अपनी सोशल कॉर्पोरेट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को लगाने का वक़्त है। इसमें इसको लगाना चाहिए।
धन्यवाद सर। एक सवाल सर, आपकी निजी ज़िंदगी से किस तरह आपका समय गुजर रहा है? आप काफ़ी एक्टिव हैं इस समय, काफ़ी एड्रेस कर रहे हैं। किस तरह सर आपने लॉकडाउन का समय में अपनी
अ,
दिनचर्या को बनाए रखा सर?
देखिए देखिए, मैं अपने सारे कार्यक्रम 10 मार्च को खत्म करके अपने आश्रम आ गया था और मुझे ये अंदाज था कि अब ये सब होने वाला है। उसी इसको लेके आ गया था और तब से अपने आश्रम की दीवार से बाहर नहीं निकला। यहाँ 15,000 मजदूरों को सूखा भोजन 1 महीने के लिए उनके घर पहुँचाने का काम किया 6 जिलों में। अलवर, जयपुर, सवाई माधोपुर, दौसा, करौली और अ, भरतपुर और धौलपुर। इन 7 जिलों में ये हमारा काम चला, अभी भी चल रहा है। मित्रों, मैं अपना ज्यादातर समय अपने आश्रम की खेती में लगा रहा हूँ और एक मजदूर 8 घंटे काम करता है, मैं 12 घंटे से लेकर 14 घंटे काम करता हूँ और थकता नहीं हूँ अभी भी। इसलिए अब आप मेरे से पूछिए क्या काम करते हैं। मैं मिट्टी काटने का काम करता हूँ, फावड़ा चलाता हूँ, गैती चलाता हूँ। फिर इन हमारे यहाँ खेतों में बहुत सारे पत्थर पड़े हैं, तो पत्थरों को निकाल के मिट्टी से अलग करता हूँ, मिट्टी और पत्थर पाल बनाने का काम करता हूँ। और सब्जियां बोई हैं हमने। हमने जो किचन, मेरी बड़ी किचन है, हमारी संस्था की बहुत बड़ी किचन है, उस किचन के पानी से एक खेत को हमने बिल्कुल सब्जियों के लिए, उससे अब हम भाई साहब 3 महीने से बाजार से सब्जी खरीद के नहीं लाए हैं। हम अपने आश्रम में जो ऑर्गेनिक सब्जियां हैं उनको खा रहे हैं। भाई हम तो बड़े आनंद के साथ जी रहे हैं और दिन भर आनंद से काम करते हैं। अभी तुम्हारे इस बातचीत के लिए मैं अपना जो हमारा वो तरुण ताल है, उस तरुण ताल की पाल पे मिट्टी डालने का काम कर रहे थे, वहां से आया हूँ ये बातचीत करने भी। तो अपना तो हर समय हर मिनट इस प्रकृति के साथ, मिट्टी के साथ, पानी के साथ और हवा के साथ गुजर रहा है, आनंद में है। बहुत आनंद में रहा ये समय।
बहुत बहुत
और
धन्यवाद।
हमारी संस्था के साथियों ने, सारी जो नौजवानों की टीम है, तरुण तरुण भारत संघ का मतलब होता है यंग। तरुण माने यंग, भारत माने इंडिया और संघ माने एसोसिएशन। जो हमारे यंग एसोसिएशन थी, उसने पिछले 3 महीनों में घर घर जो ये मजदूर शहर से आए हैं, उनके जीवन को चलाने के लिए सहारा देने का काम कर रहे हैं।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, हमेशा से प्रेरणा के स्रोत रहे हैं आप। जरूर आपने जो बात कही है ग्राम स्वावलंबन बनाने की, एक एक गांव को गोद लेने की, वो हम जितने भी पार्टिसिपेंट हैं सब गौर करेंगे। अब मैं अपने नेक्स्ट पैनलिस्ट मैडम नियति सरीन का वेलकम करता हूँ। एंड आई वुड लाइक टू इंट्रोड्यूस मैडम नियति सरीन इज द प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर ऑफ वाटर in the Hinduja group. She is having a 25-year long experience of handling sustainability, CSR,
मुझे लीव कर दो।
risk management. She is a civil engineer as well, and she is a part of various networks and represented sector in India and various forums. She has represented as a working member of Global Reporting Initiative. She has also represented in a United Nations Global Compact CEO Water Mandate Network. She is also represented in the United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Risk Management. So I would request Madam to kindly share your view on the corporate thinking on the water program. Please, over to you.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you, Ambuja Cement Foundation. Thank you, Paul. Happy Environment Day, everybody. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It was wonderful to hear the Waterman of India and the thought that he said कि हमारे villages should be self-sufficient. I think my personal belief has been that each one of us should be self-sufficient, and why should we depend upon others? So that's my personal belief, and that's what I just wanted to talk about, just to reiterate what Waterman of India said. But going forward, corporate India, he said 5% is what we spend on CSR. At the Hinduja Group, water is our stewardship program and our champion CSR program across the 14, 15 Hinduja Group companies. And we keep 20% of our CSR funds towards water. In the group, where Manoj asked me to speak about what we do in corporate world with respect to water. So I can only talk about what we do in our group. So in our group, we've divided water into 3 sections. One is within the fence, around the fence, and beyond the fence. Within the fence is what we call sustainability, where for each of our group companies, water is a materiality. Each of our group and the funding that we do for within the fence does not come from CSR funding. It comes from operations or from sustainability. And each of our group companies is trying to move from being water conscious to water neutral to water positive. The goal is to be water positive. That is to put back more water into the ground that we extract for our businesses. I'm happy to say that one of our group companies, which is Ashok Leyland, is probably the only water positive auto company in the world, and they're water positive in every factory of theirs. That is within the fence. Around the fence, we work in 3-4 areas. One is access to safe drinking water, where water quality and quantity is very bad. We work in restoration of, Rajendra Singh ji talked about the tanks, the step wells, the lakes that were built hundreds of years ago. Not many are maintained. So we have one of our projects, one of our area of work is restoration of these water bodies. In Alwar, we've taken up the step well to restore, which is a fabulous step well. We're at the moment doing about 40 lakes, tanks, nalas, drains, rivers, and the step well. The other is area that we work a lot is in the watershed program, rainwater harvesting program, wetlands, and spring shed. Spring shed is mostly in Uttarakhand. The main objective of our water program really is to work for the poorest of the poor. I went to Jethran. I've seen the work that ACF has done, where they work with the poorest of the poor. The rooftop harvesting structures that they build. Some of the poorest of the poor don't have a roof. So how they've recalibrated the whole program to see how those section of the community can be brought together. You know, when we work in the watershed or spring shed area, we look at both the demand and the supply. What happens mostly is, I forgot one major point. You know, when many companies calculate to be water positive, they take the work that they've done in the community in their calculations, which is very, very wrong. When you calculate to be water positive, you should look at the water savings that you have within the facility that is extracting the water, not what you're doing in the community. That should never be part of your calculations. You have to walk the talk. So you have to first become water conscious, neutralist, positive in your own facility. Then you can go out and work with the communities outside. And also one of the biggest part working with the community is community sensitization, community mobilization, changing the mindset of the people with respect to water. Rajendra Singh ji said very clear, beautifully, that our villages were self-sufficient, but now they are not. They look upon others to look after their problem. They feel that the water is a state subject or a central subject. It is not their problem. Somebody else should look after it, which is so wrong. We have to be self-reliant, and every village of ours has to be self-reliant to look after themselves. Now with this reverse migration, I have a feeling that there'll be a lot of introspection and thinking towards how can I stay in my own village and live here safely and be productive right here. I believe that the government is a very, very integral part of any program that you do. Because without the government, they are the basic custodians of anything that you do, you know. So I truly believe that a public-private partnership is very, very important, where the private sector brings in the modalities of project management, efficiency, productivity. The government brings in the policy. They have the funds to create the infrastructure, and the community owns everything. Also, the government should be the custodian of anything that you do going forward, along with the community. You know, the government has a lot of funding to build the infrastructure with respect to water. In our group, we start a project by creating a DPR, a detailed project report. We look at the demand side and the supply side. In the demand side, we are not going to tell the farmers stop growing this cash crop or stop doing sugarcane. You know, it's not fair to have a paternalistic attitude towards them. Why shouldn't they aspire to grow? Why should only people living in the cities aspire to grow? So when we look at the demand side, we look at the aspirations of the community. What do they want to do? And to achieve that, what is their water footprint going to be like? And then work with them so that we can reduce their water footprint. We can increase their water supplies by restoration of ground and surface water. But work with them on technologies that will help them earn the living that they need to earn so that their aspirations can be met. And when we work on the DPR, we also look at how much community mobilization needs to be done. What is the attitude of the community towards water? What are the various programs that we will have to run to change that attitude and to make them believe that water is an important area? So when I say public-private partnership, I feel that the private sector brings in the element of efficiency and productivity. The NGO partners actually help us work with the communities because they understand the community very well. They are able to garner support from them and motivate them to look at water in a much more positive way. And the government, and work with the government in your DPR to understand what are their proposals, what are their plans, so that you are working along with their plans. You're not reinventing the wheel. You make a DPR and you decide to put a check dam in X place. The government has already done that work and has decided to put the check dam in a Y place. Why can't we work with the government and decide on a place which is correct for both? Maybe it's X, maybe it's Y, maybe it's Z. But why reinvent the wheel each time again and again? Make government your partner, make community your partner, and at the end of the day, make the community resilient. Make them strong enough to be able to deal with their problems themselves. The mindset today is government aake karegi, government mera pani dekhegi, government mera khana dekhegi. That's not correct. We, the community, whether it's in the village, whether it's in peri-urban areas, whether in urban areas, have to actually become self-sufficient. And that was one thing that Rajendra Singh ji said, which really, really I believe in myself. And all our water programs across the group actually work on that philosophy, that whatever we do, we will go away after some time. That's not our business. Our business is to earn money. But there are certain percentage of the business which is inherent, that is to give back. Do good to do well to do good. You know, it is a cycle that has to be done. But in that, if there is no community involved, if the government is not put into together, then none of our programs will be successful. They will be standalone programs. You will do something, we will go away. 3 years later, it will be destroyed. It will not be sustainable. It will not be consistent. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Manoj, over to you. Manoj.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll take a few questions. I think Hinduja Foundation has a very deep commitment on the water project. You have shared that 20% of your financial commitment is on the water projects only. So I would like to ask, how do you select the project, and in which areas you are preferred to go for the water project mainly?
So, like I said, we have 14 companies in our group. So each company has their own mandate as to where they want to do. The programs are all the same. There will be availability of safe drinking water. There will be watershed, spring shed, wetlands restoration. There will be restoration of lakes, dams, rivers, nalas, and step wells now, and tanks, village ponds. So the programs, rooftop harvesting that we do with you, will all be the same. But the areas that they choose are differ. For companies in our group that have their own facilities or factories, and it's the communities that live around them. That is our main criteria. The reason also that we choose these communities is because there is a presence available on the ground for the company to be participatory in whatever work we are doing. They have a lot of relationship with the local government, the state government, the district authorities. So to be able to perform and to be able to create the impacts is very large. In our companies where we are service providers, we have a banking organization, we have leasing and finance, we have a software organization. It's where the customer is based. We have a very large MFI. We have a very large bank in our organization. So for those, it's rural communities. But again, we will not go to a place just because we have a customer and there is no issue of water. We go to the worst of the worst places where our rural customers stay or where our communities stay to work with them. The first is a dipstick, which is, in today's world of information, all that information is very easily available, which is water scarce, which is water red, which is water orange, green, whatever. So we like to work in the worst of the worst areas, and we like to work with the poorest of the poor. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's the main.
One more issue I will touch upon. I think you have shared about the water positive index. You strongly believe in measuring the outcome and the water positive. So is there any goal of the company, of the group company, in terms of the water positive index or in terms of any other measure to reach through this water project?
Yes, every group company, for every facility, whether it's an office or a factory or a development center or a workshop or a service center, does water audits to see what is the consumption and what is the extraction. And we work on both sides, reducing consumption and on the 4 R's of reuse, reduce, recycle, and rejuvenate. Most companies are on so we have a scale of being water conscious. All our 14 companies are water conscious. The next step is to be water neutral. That is, you put back as much as you've extracted or used, not just extracted, but water that comes from municipal organizations. And the final goal is to be water positive. So yeah, that is the scale that we use, and it is mandatory in our group companies to do this. Statutory requirement of the pollution board or the water board are very, very small as compared to what our group companies do with respect to water. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. We will take more question.
It is our own statutory requirement in the group that this must be done. Cannot do without it.
Thank you for sharing your thought and detail about the Ambuja Foundation water. Thank you. We will take 2 more questions after the round of discussion from all fellow panelists. So now I will move to our next panelist, Dr. Sanjay Vilsare, sir. Dr. Sanjay Vilsare is the Chief Engineer and the Joint Secretary in Water Resource Management in Government of Maharashtra. He is having a rich 26-year experience in the water sector and rich experience in the participatory irrigation management subject. Basically, he has been the part of the core team involved in reform of the water sector in Maharashtra. He is also the 2 times recipient of the International ICID Water Save Award for his works in the irrigation project in Akola and Nasik. Presently, he is the member of International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage, working for modernization of the irrigation project in the state. So I would request Dr. Vilsare to kindly address the participant and give your input.
Thank you, Manoj. Good morning to everyone. Foremostly, I extend best wishes on view of world environment to everyone. We heard Dr. Rajan Singh ji and Niyati ji, and I'm going to present the view of government. And it is a partnership of government, corporate, NGO, and the user. So I have been working in the water sector from last 26 years, and I have been passionate with the community participation. As you know, there is a water crisis, and water crisis, which I believe it is not a crisis of availability, or it is a crisis of management. We have got enough water for your needs, but for the grid, we cannot fulfill the grid. And as the water is a very crucial element for the environment, for livelihood, and with the climate change, there is going to be a availability variation, short time rainfall, and there is a demand is increasing because of the industrialization, urbanization, and also agriculture. The food requirement is going to be double in next 25 years. So on the one side, there is a shortage, means water is going to remain same, and also there is a variation, and also demand is growing. And to manage this water sustainability, the users' participation in irrigation management, water management is very must. Without that, it is not going to be sustainable. If government is only going to build the infrastructure, but it is not managed properly, then it is going to be deteriorated in time, and again we have to go for a new infrastructure. So that is not possible. As a water resource department, so far we have almost built in Maharashtra 3,900 dams, and we could store almost 42 million meter cube of water in the Maharashtra. And we are going to supplement this with the new construction. But nowadays, new construction of dam is not possible. Whatever we are constructing, we are going to complete and extend the water to the farmers, to the cities. But there are limitations. We cannot increase that. But now time is to how you can use that same water resources efficiently and productively. So for that, what we have in Maharashtra experience, that we are pioneer in the participatory irrigation management. We started long back from 1990, and we have been very instrumental in how we can, in the beginning, that we are supplying water volumetrically, because whatever the water we supply to the farmers, they can use that water efficiently. Otherwise, if you are just supplying, providing water as a flood irrigation and they are using the water, that may not be sufficient for the what they are growing. But when they know that they have this much water and they can use it for different crop, they can use it the different technology like drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, such that they can grow more. And with the educating farmer, we started with the wherever the water is not reaching at the tail end of the irrigation projects, water is not uh, reach, or there are difficulty in reaching and providing water. So the users came together, formed water user association. We supported them, educated them, and also there are examples that where NGO come forward, where they can unite and then educate, and they started the management of the water in their jurisdiction. So there is an example of Wagad irrigation project. When the water was not reaching to the tail end, they started united into the water Resource association. They formed the 3 water Resource association, and over the period of time, they have grown on the entire irrigation project. And today they are managing the entire irrigation project within the network of water Resource association. So starting with there as a local, as a village, and going to the larger area, that's possible with the example of Wagad. So with the example of Wagad, government has made the standalone act for the participation of farmer into the irrigation management, that is the Maharashtra management of irrigation by farmers. And so far we have got 3,000 water association working on 12 lakh hectare, and there are many more in the process. We have made it mandatory that whenever we are going for a construction of minor, we should have the water association. So far, what are the experience of water resistance, what are the lacunas, drawbacks, so that we learn and we trying to build on such that that institution become what sustainable. We are also taking the help of, because WEA it is a very dynamic organization. So for that, there with the government and WEA, there is a professional third partner. It can be a NGO, it can be a CSR, it can be a company, it can be a academic institution. So with the help of the third partner, we are trying to build and make this WA sustainable. Also, we are trying to use different sector participation through, we have got 2030 WRG, this World Bank institution. So we have formed multi-stakeholder platform where there is a civil society, corporate sector, then government sector, academia, and the users, such that how we can make this water business where not only user, not only government, but everybody is involved. And we are trying to work on different parts of the Maharashtra. And we are working with the ITC, and we are also, there is a proposal for working with the Ambuja Cement Foundation. So government alone cannot work, and government has limitation. Government can create infrastructure, but to maintain and to last for that, the community, and to build the community, the corporate sector and the NGO are very important. We had executed the project in Maharashtra, and we can increase the efficiency of water efficiency from 31% to 60%. Also, you are all aware of the Maharashtra Jal Yukt Shivar, where there is an involvement, convergence of different, there are so many departments working. So convergence of the different department, convergence of the institutions, CSR, NGO. There is Tarun Bharat Sangh is working in Maharashtra. Then Art of Living, Pani Foundation working. So it is not a one-man job. It is a everyone job. And I think with this approach, we can address the water crisis and we can manage it well. Just for information of everyone, Dr. Rajendra Singh was instrumental in forming Water Literacy Center. We have water campaign for the short time, but with the there is a permanent water literacy center at Yashoda and few center in the regional places, and they are targeting the villages. Then water association and school. In school there is a water literacy campaign. There is also they have developed the curriculum such that from the beginning we are trying to address the water literacy not at the time of crisis but around the year. So with this word I will stop here, and I see a prospect of the working together and making this water business as a really sustainable, resilient, and this is possible. And with the COVID-19, it has been underlined that this is a time to work more and together such that we can make really the migration, reverse migration, fruitful for sustaining the sustainable village. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Valsare. I'll take a few questions. Maharashtra is always given very successful model of
Yeah.
water management like Talegaon City, Himre Bazaar, Pani Foundation you shared, and the many model participatory irrigation management as well. But one thing is very, question that how it can be replicable to other part of the country, other places basically, because these models are standalone into the geographies, but very when we talk for the replication, I think what is your thought how it can be replicated by some other people?
Yeah, thank you, Manoj, for asking this question.
Yes.
Actually, one model do not fit everywhere. So we have to see that how the community, the culture, and based on that, we have to start working with community. Basically, the crux is that community is involved into water management. So for that there could be a for a small village where there is a as a group of farmers or group of users, they are coming under the gram panchayat. This is one thing where there is a big thing where we can have a separate organization, water use association. Then we have got uh, to make it sustainable, we can work with them for the NGO and WA and NGO, they can work together, build, and at some point in time, the NGO can exit and WA can work further. And not only the water management, we can go beyond that, because once you supply water, there is a crop diversification, income in the farmer increases. But to manage the input and agriculture output, we can also graduate to the farmers producer company. So for that also we have a model in Maharashtra where WA graduated into the farmer producer company, and they are now doing the input supply and also the marketing. So I think we have to begin with a small initiative where the WA or this WA can be beginning point, but we can go beyond from the village to the project level, and also from the water management to the market initiative. And I have seen in the many parts of the country, yes, community participation is the only where we can make it sustainable. Otherwise, outside person coming and going, government officer is coming, going, some this thing, that is not going to. So how we can transfer the ownership, though they are the custodian and everybody, but they have to see that yes, this is the resource that has to be maintained, and with their participation, that's possible.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your input. I would now move to our next panelist, Mrs. Pal Tiwari. Madam Pal Tiwari is a director and CEO of Ambuja Cement Foundation. She is the president of CSR and Sustainability in Ambuja Cement Limited. She is having a long 35 years of experience in development sector. She is post-graduated from the Tata Institute of Social Science and also done the executive program course in CSR from Harvard Business School in 2008. She has also done the management program in sustainability from Stockholm, Sweden in 2020. She had joined the Ambuja Cement Foundation in 2000, in the year 2000 with a very tiny organization working in a very small region in the country. And during a year of last around 20 years now, this foundation, she has expanded to made the large banyan tree having the shoots in pan-India presence in 43 districts and 11 states. So I would request Madam to kindly share her view as an implementing organization. How is her view? How she actually visualize the implementation aspect of the whole water journey? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Manoj. And warm wishes on World Environment Day to all participants, all panelists, and everybody here. So just to take forward what Manoj asked me to speak about, we really started our whole thinking in this journey of rural development was that our final objective was to bring about prosperity for the people. And we wanted to do it through the people themselves. So it's very interesting that today every panelist has talked about building this ownership, building this community resilience. And this is exactly the model and the approach with which we went, where we thought that, and we truly believe that there is so much traditional wisdom in the villages itself. And how do we marry that wisdom with some of the knowledge that we bring and some technical expertise that we bring? How do we build their capability to really be able to manage whatever they want to create so that this really becomes sustainable in the long run? So this is really what we had in mind over these last 2 decades when we grew our organization. And we realized, since we were in rural development, that things cannot be tackled in rural development without focusing on water, especially in very water-starved areas. Because this is where it was all, I still recall the time when I first went in the early years of the 2000s to Rajasthan, where they were in the 3rd year of drought in Pali district. And there was almost a talk of migration having to happen outside the villages if there was no rain that year. And I was trying very hard to look at other issues beyond water. And I must admit that I could see, through my rapid appraisal, that there was no, healthcare in the area and all of that. And I was trying to ask the women. And I still remember one Rukmini Devi very clearly and very, with a full voice telling me, "Hamari aur koi samasya hai hi nahi. बस पानी की समस्या है." So the point is that, in development, people can't think beyond water if water is the issue that you need to deal with. Similarly, in Gujarat, in Saurashtra, when we were trying to get women to look at microcredit, I remember Pushpa Ben throwing this one at me, saying, "Ke ye hi kaam mein se nikal nahi pate, to where is the question of thinking about anything else?" So when it's water, it's only water. And that's when we decided that water will become our great focus. And I must say, over these 2 decades, with this consistency that we've worked with, we've seen transformation, we've seen great impacts, we've seen sustainability, we've seen community owning what we tried to create with them. So I thought I'll use this platform to really bring 4-5 things which for us were learnings, because it's very encouraging today that more and more organizations are talking about water through ownership of community. And our learnings in the process were that without this community ownership, I mean, this is really the crucial thing for success. So if you want to bring in sustainability long term, there has to be a belief that there is traditional wisdom out there which we need to share with, learn from, and work with them. And right integrated into all this is the role of women. And we need to put women out there if we really want to, bring that ownership in. Another big learning for us was that water is not something which can have a short-term perspective. Very often I've heard people saying, this is water starved. We want to make this place water positive in the next 6 months. We want to see by the end of this year. It is not possible. We are talking about a groundwater table which has been exploited over the years. We are talking about, so this whole thought needs to change to a long-term perspective, long-term investment, which we will have to put in. And water is not something you can solve for a village. I've also had interactions with other organizations, other corporates, which have said, no, but our interest is in these 2 villages. So we'd like water to really be, it's impossible to do that. I mean, water is, a resource which is across the region. So one has to look at a more regional watershed, or a more the geography has to be far winded. A third big learning for us was that partnerships is absolutely important to this. I think even Niyati said this so well, that you cannot work without the government. You cannot work without, even if there are CSRs or any other technical organization, they bring in a lot of technical resources, apart from the finances that they bring in. And people like us who are implementers on the ground have to be open to learning from the government, learning from these people, and then putting all that together. I can give an example of our whole project in Saurashtra on salinity, which was a big issue when we entered there 20 odd years ago. And we realized that we could maybe through organizational support from Ambuja, we could have worked in 5 villages, 7 villages, 10 villages. But when we were able to sell this idea to the Tata Trusts at that time, and we were able to show a model in about 20, 25 villages, very soon the government came on board. And within about 4 or 5 years, we had the government. Over a period of time, we had NABARD, we had WASMO, we had the Coastal Salinity Prevention Cell. And together, we've been able to look at different dimensions of water. And these partnerships, today we have a fantastic partnership with the Hinduja Group. So, I mean, we're working through the different companies, and we really believe that together we'll be able to solve the problem if it's a long-term thought and investment. So this was a big learning for us. Micro level innovations was another thing that I want to talk about, because very often things are talked about at a macro level. There's been talk for the last 10, 15 years on this this river grid project and interlinking of rivers. At the macro level, this may be extremely difficult to do. There might be environmental hazards in place that you will never be able to counter. But at the micro level, very often these big thoughts are possible. And we've been able to see those. I mean, whether it's, using every water harvested structure that you have, whether it's a check dam, whether it's a pond, whether it's a, use canals. We've seen that in Saurashtra, where we've pushed back salinity by about 8-9 kilometers through this microgrid project, where we've actually created a grid, which today is allowing the community extended over 60-70 kilometers to really have sweet water right in their villages, take 2 to 3 crops, sometimes 4 crops. We've linked even our mined out pits of the company to this grid. So, I mean, there's a lot of micro level work that can happen. Similarly, in Rajasthan, there are old technologies which have been forgotten. There were the khadeens, which, really help a bumper kharif crop. If those are done. Very simple to do, low cost technology, and brings about huge changes. So I think these micro level innovations with people in the village are essentially important. And finally, I want to talk about the fact that, water, another mistake that a lot of people do is that we want to work on only drinking water. Water is about drinking, it's about domestic use, it's about agriculture, it's about everything. So really you have to work across the value chain. You have to also look at wastewater. And so it's conservation and recharge on one hand, which is the demand side, but we've also got to keep looking at the water use efficiency. How do we work on that demand side of water, not just the supply side of it? But I really believe that businesses do need to offset their water footprint. Everybody uses water, if not in their product, in their process. And I think we have a huge responsibility as businesses, large and small, to really measure what is our consumption across, what is our recharge, and set targets. It's so nice to hear more and more corporates talking about water positivity, water balance. We started with this journey of water 20 years back, but it was only in the year 2011-12 that we said, let us measure this seriously across all our plants. And we started measuring our consumption, and we put a target, and we said we want to be at least 2 times water positive, both inside the plant and as well as working with the community. And today we see that, because we've upped that target as we moved along, today, our latest data of 2019 shows that we are 8 times water positive. Now, this is a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the community. The government is happy. When you go for your permitting processes, things work for us. The community stands with us at a time which is difficult. And so we really believe that putting this ownership right there, being consistent with our thought on investment in water, and working through a range of partners that we work with really can help solve the problem. And if we can do this in every corner of India with in situ rainwater, I think we are a country that is blessed with good rainfall, and we really need to capitalize on that. So these are some of my thoughts on this occasion today.
Thank you, ma'am. This is always profound to listen you about your views on such critical issues. I would like to ask one question which some of the participants also like to ask. I've asked to Rajendra Singh ji also that only 5% CSR funds are now utilizing in the water project. Even we have a CSR law. So, but Ambuja is a company investing huge resources and money in the water project since very long, from last 20-25 years. And you are the instrumental to actually mobilize this all resources from the companies. How did you able to convince? How did you able to manage this? How did you able to convince the top management and the business leadership for these projects, so that the other corporate can also get the idea how it can be resilience to the business as well?
So as I said, I think every business uses water in some way. And I think when we saw that the crisis was water and really water is what we needed to solve, I think for the boardroom, for the business, what becomes very important is to draw a connection between what you want to invest in and how that will benefit the business. And I think cement, for us, we are a cement, our parent company is a cement manufacturing company. And cement, even though we may not use too much water in our process because we've changed those processes to dry processes, we still use our product. Cement needs a lot of water. And so, you know, one has got to be thinking about how, if we are a product which is going to guzzle so much water from the environment, what is it that we need to do? So first of all, reasoning with the company that, you know, we have a role to play when it comes to water. Were the beginnings. But you know, as we started working with the community and solving problems of water in our immediate backyard, strong problems, like I said, salinity in Gujarat, or even other quality issues in Gujarat, and no water in Rajasthan, and our community started to see the seriousness of our work on water. I think the beauty is that then the community stands with you at your time of difficulty. And we've seen this happen in the year 2012, in the year 2015, when we have droughts in the region. Many other companies have been asked to stop operation for a few days, but very often our communities have stood with us and allowed us to use water for our processes because we've created enough water for them and not really taken away theirs, starved them of the water. So some of these case studies, but I think key to the whole thing, Manoj, is what I said last, which is measurement. You know, you've got to be able to go back with data. And I think every boardroom, every investor wants that data. They want to see how is it that, you know, this investment that I put in has really given me the value. And so what we've done in the last many years is that we've besides, you know, looking at water from the consumption and measuring it inside our plants and all of that, and setting these targets of water positive, we did a couple of things. As a company, we started looking at a project called True Value, where water is very, very important. Looking at how is water really changing and bringing value to the entire plant and to the entire, you know, surrounding. And there is a measurement, there's serious measurements that have been put into place to really look at those things. The second thing we did in our own projects outside the fence is that we started looking at social return on investment. Today, the boardrooms understand the word return on investment. That is, ROI is what investors want to look at. And to water, there is much more than just measurable, monetize, but you can monetize a lot of the stuff that you are doing if you look at measures of social return on investment. And I think when we went back, when we did our first SROI several years back, and we found that in a place like Gujarat, which we've worked for 20 odd years, and where we've invested huge amounts of money on water, we were actually seeing a social return on investment of about 13.5 million for every million we spend. Now that's music to the ears of you know, your management or your boardroom. So I think very often we need to go back with data, with measurement, with, you know, talking about the value that this investment brings. And I think Ambuja's boardroom understood that well. And so I think just like the Hinduja Foundation also mentioned, Niyati mentioned it, we've been very committed to water, and we've really done a lot of work on water. And we've invested a lot more money than probably many others do on issues related to water.
Thank you, ma'am. One more question we have received from the participant. Some of the participants like to ask that you have mentioned that it should be the regional issue. And sometimes the partner agency have their own choice of working into some particular geography or a particular area. So how the ecosystem can be built so that the more needy places or the more critical areas can be covered through the effort of the funding agency at the partner agency board? How we can expand the horizon of the partner agency as well?
So I think first of all, it is fair. It is fair that anybody wants to work in a geography of their choice. Maybe they feel socially more responsible to that area. I mean, as a company, even I think Ambuja Cements as a company thinks like that. That, you know, our first priority is people around us, because that's where you built your business. And so it's only fair that we do that. What I have seen in my experience is that, one, as an implementing agency, of course, I can speak for ourselves, that we've been willing to stretch completely out of our geographies and work with geographies where people have an interest, as long as our model fits there. And, you know, we are able, so we are committed to rural development. We are committed to certain ways of working on water. We are committed to working in a cluster approach. And if there's a shared vision of that, then I believe that, you know, that is what I would say, that, you know, we are willing to step into other districts, other areas. Otherwise, we would have continued to remain in the 17 districts of Ambuja. Today, we are in 44 districts because we've moved with other partners to other districts. I must say we've kept a reservation of working within the same state, because we are also very conscious about the quality of our work. So we have our infrastructure, we have senior people who can monitor our projects. But I think it's fair, and I think we can find partners everywhere, if funds are available from the government. Without the government, as I said, you can't work. So you've got to have bringing in the government at some point or the other. And my experience again has been that if you create a small model somewhere and then take it back to the government really then partners long term with you. And we've seen that in some of our states. So I think that's how I would take
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Thank you. The one question from Dr. Bisare sir. I think every year in the summer like situation, we got to know the news of water scarcity, supplying tanker, lot of huge and cry. But this year that is not the case. We are not getting such news from the media. Either media is overhyped by other issues, or do you think NREGA is actually addressing these needs into the needy areas? How the NREGA is playing their role, which was the scheme actually designed for the water resource management?
Yes, there is a part that the media attention is more toward the COVID-19. So that issue is not crop up in the way it was crop up every year. And this year there was good rainfall, and even the water storage in the dam is also good. And since the rain was till October, November, and also in the after March there is a less demand from all sector, so that has proved that there is no water scarcity per se at every year. But definitely at remote place there is going to be there, but it has not come to the forefront. And NREGA is, yes, that is a program where it can supplement all other activities, including water management at the village level, because all water conservation works, also water channel clearing work can be done in NREGA, and this can go a long way in conserving water in the rainy season, and that can be used in the other season. And for that, I feel the water management, because many times we have water conservation work done, but once the water is available, the water is not managed properly, and then again there is a failure of the watershed. So water conservation, water management, that has to be managed collectively with the community. That can be a sustainable, that can make it sustainable. So I think I answer your queries.
Yes. Thank you, sir. I think one question from Madam Niyati Sareen. You have actually highlighted the benefit of doing the water project for the industry, for the water positivity point of view, of the other point of view. But how do you see, what is the drawback or what is the harm if industry is not taking the water project around within their fence and outside their fence? How do you see the long-term negative impact, basically?
The negative impact is they will lose work if there is no water. The company can shut down. They'll cease to exist. They will lose their license to live. That's the impact. there is no choice. There is no choice in today's world, and with climate change, where we used to have rainfall for long periods of time, and water was allowed to percolate into the ground. Now we have sharp rainfall in short duration. Uh, the ground has been paved, so there is no percolation of water. I can list 20 other things that are happening that is going to make sure that there is going to be no water. So if you don't look at water in your boardroom, you will cease not to have a board. You will cease not to exist. And the statutory requirement of pollution board and the government of India is still very old. They're from the 1800s. They haven't upgraded themselves. Yes, we have the CGWB. Yes, but their understanding is very limited. You know, they'll still ask you to build rainwater harvesting tanks in your facility of lakhs of liters and destroy the environment by pouring that concrete, but they will not accept you working in the community outside to increase their water capacity. And you know, I mean, we have plants which are 3 to 4 times water positive, but they come in the water scarce area. So the mandatory is that you have to recycle water and reuse water. But they also ask us to do things like build lakhs of cubic meters of tanks. Laws have to change. Laws have to look at each area of water, each area in a different way. How do you deal with water in a different way? Companies can no longer cease to stop looking at water. Funding agencies, now the world being so small, COVID has shown us exactly how small it is. Every corporate company has funding from all over the world. You have the Icelandic countries, you have the European countries who are actually investing in companies that are doing work in water. They actually look for you. You know, if you're a part of the UN Global Compact, you have to put in a communication of progress, a COP. People actually read your COP to see how you're working, measuring your water and how you're progressing. You know, you have to better it. You can't say today I'm water positive and I'm done it and I'll sit quietly. No, it doesn't work. You have to better it and you have to keep bettering it, because water quality and quantity is also reducing. No, so there is no way that any industry, service, production, manufacturing, IT can say, water is not my material. No, water is materiality for every organization. It is a materiality for us as individuals. It is a materiality for us as corporates, and it is a large materiality for the agricultural sector. So yes, no questions, no questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. In the interest of the time, we are running. I think in the interest of the time, I would like to quickly conclude the session. I think it was a brilliant discussion, very enlightened session. Started with the Rajendra Singh ji's thoughts on Gram Swaraj and Gram Ganraj. I think the whole thoughts lead to this Gram Swaraj and Gram Ganraj. The government is also talking about the self-sufficiency of the villages. I think all our effort, Dr. Belsari has shared about the participatory irrigation management of the Madam Neti has shared about the huge water project with the outcome measurable within the fence and outside the fence, the responsibility of the companies. Each company should increase their spend on water work. And Madam Pal Tiwari actually shared the implementation strategy and how implementing a strategy is so important to actually reach to that goal. I think we had a very brilliant discussion. Thank you very much for all panelists. With one quote from the Bhagavad Gita, I would like to end this session, and I would urge all the participants and the panelists. I will please repeat this with me. I think this is a powerful quote from the Bhagavad Gita on the Environment Day. I will just say one line and you can repeat. I think it will give powerful energy for today's One Environment Day. Prakarte kriye manani. If you can. Prakarte kriye manani.
Kriye manani.
Gude karmani sarvasha.
Karmani sarvasha.
Ahankare vidhutatma. अहंकार विमूढ़ात्मा कर्ता महिति मान्यते। इसका अर्थ अगर हम समझें, so all action in the universe are being performed by the nature or the prakriti. The fool man whose mind is diluted by egoism thinks I am doable. We are not doable. The environment and the nature is doable. Thank you so much for coming to this panel and enlighten us, all the participants. Thank you to all participants given their time, and I hope everyone could get some takeaway. Thank you so much.
Thank, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.